Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. If that's you, go ahead and click like and subscribe below. Today we're talking about different ways of evaluating your students. And so I'm going to go over a specific model, so the Kirkpatrick model of evaluation, which has 4 different levels. So to some extent, I think the first 3 are the only ones that really work in one course, but I'll go through all 4 just in case. So the first level of evaluation is the reaction level. In this case, did students enjoy the course? Did students feel that they learned from the course? Did students feel negative about certain elements of the course? Did they feel that they are going to be able to transfer their knowledge to other courses? Do they feel it's relevant to them or not relevant to them? Right? So it's basically the emotional reaction that students have to what you've taught them, right? So it's the evaluation that you get at the end of the semester, the student evaluation, tends to have these type of questions, but I always recommend doing a course assessment at the end where you can ask specific questions of your students, and I do think some of those questions should be reaction specific, emotional reaction. Of course, not every student can enjoy a course if it's not related to them, but you can hope that at least the majority of them will feel that they got something out of it, that they learned from it, that they enjoyed certain elements of it, and so on. So that's the first level of evaluation possible when you have, student learners. For the assessment, I really recommend using Google Forms because it's free, really easy to use, and really easy to gather data. So here's just like a quick example. If, for my literature course, asking for their name, and then again, just kind of basic response reaction type of questions. So which assignment did you enjoy the most? Did you enjoy the least? Did you learn from the most? Or do you think you learned from the least? Which text did you enjoy reading? Which text did you not enjoy reading? Right? So just kind of see what you can ask them about this experience. And then you could also have questions like 1 through 5. So how relevant do you think these skills are to your life? And you can ask what skills they think are most beneficial that they learned in the course. So it can be really quick for students to fill out. That can give you a lot of really important data for your own teaching. The second level is the learning level. So I would say this is the key level in this case, in the case of a college course, because it's actually evaluating whether or not they've learned the skills or the knowledge that you had to impart to them or teach them in that semester. So in this case, how do you evaluate the learning? You can do it through major projects, you can do it through exams, you can do it through presentations, whatever design works best for you. But in this case, you might consider, well, maybe I can have different projects that build off one another, because then I could see, whether or not they learned the skill needed for project 3, well, they must have learned it in project 1 or project 2, right? Or at least had the basics and then grew throughout the semester. So kind of designing your activities to build off one another can be a way of seeing if the learning has progressed throughout the semester. Or you can have just like, okay, they're different projects, but they require similar skills and knowledge to complete, so I can evaluate if they've gained that knowledge depending on how well they do on the projects. For level 2, I recommend checking out this video in particular. I'll link it below. It gives you different ideas of activities you can use to assess your students' learning. So there are obviously plenty out there, but this one video gives you quite a few to work with in case you're not sure where to get started. The third level is the behavior level. So are your students' behavior actually changing because of the skills that they are gaining, the knowledge that they are gaining, right? The things that they are learning. So in this case, you might see this as, well, I'm getting fewer questions from students as the semester progresses, or I'm getting more complex questions showing that they've understood the foundational stuff and now they're building off of that. Or it might be, before I had a lot of confused looks and now they're just like sitting down and getting to work right away because they feel confident in what they've learned throughout the past 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever the case may be. So in this level, it's basically seeing how are students behaving. Is it showing that they are actually taking in the knowledge and the skills that they need and actually doing it, applying it to the situation at hand? In addition to observing your students' behavior throughout the semester, you can also evaluate at this level by having students do a presentation at the end of the semester, for example, in which they have to demonstrate their ability to apply the knowledge or skills that they've gained in your course, or potentially teach it to others as well. So I do have this blog post where I go over different types of presentations that I've done with my students, but this is kind of an additional option in case you're looking for ideas for this level of evaluation. And then the fourth level is the results level. So to some extent, this can be done if you have activities that scaffold as well, like I mentioned in the second level, because you can see, well, in paper 1, they didn't do this that well. The flow didn't work very well. The thesis was kind of vague, versus in paper 3, they had a great thesis. It flowed perfectly. I really saw the complex situation that they created by having counter arguments and research and all of that. So it ends up being that you can see results from A to C, right? From the first paper to the third paper. So that's one way of seeing results, evaluating that element of the course or that element of the student's learning. But I do think, to some extent, results are best seen if you have students again in future semesters, or if you hear from them later on, because then you can see, okay, well, in my case, I'm teaching composition. Do they come back and say, hey, when you taught me how to do that research, it worked out really well because in my other course, I had to do this project and my instructor was really impressed because I did all these things that I learned in your class, right? In that sense, you're seeing, okay, the results are great because they're actually transferring this knowledge, these skills into other situations. You can't always see that, but in the micro level, you can see if there's been progression, and that can be another result element of your evaluation. So those are the 4 levels, right? So their reaction, their learning, their behavior, and their results. If you're someone who's part of a series of courses and you get students more than once, I recommend doing all 4 levels as often as you can to see how you can improve your own teaching based off the data that you're collecting from the students and the student work. If you only get them for the 1 semester and that's it, or the 1 course and that's it, then I do think at least levels 1 and 2 can be really helpful, because if there's having a lot of negative feelings towards your course, you can see what you can tweak to help with that. And if they're not reaching the objectives, not learning the things they're supposed to be learning, of course, then definitely means tweaking your course in the next semesters. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and click like below. And again, subscribe if you don't want to miss out on content of teaching advice, tips, tools, ideas, resources, edtech tutorials, and more.